Hey, it's Magnus here. Today is Saturday, the 24th of December 2016, of course. And I've been a little bit reflective, and today I'm gonna reflect with you. I'm going to share a couple of stories that you might find interesting. Now, the title I plan of this video is How I Became Successful, and in brackets, and happy. We'll see if that becomes the title, but that's the plan. 2 days ago, I was over in Tauranga, and I overheard two conversations in two different shops. In the first conversation, the shop assistant said to a customer, "Are you ready for Christmas?" And in the other conversation, another shop assistant said to a customer, "Are you looking forward to Christmas Day?" Now, I'll share the rest of that with you in just a second, but first I want to get to the success thing that's the title of this video, the how I became successful. Now, this is going to be a bit of a wandering video. I'm not going to do much editing, no fancy music or footage or anything like that, just talking. So I became successful around about 7 years ago. And I know you're probably wondering, how can you define the point at which you became successful? Because it's you know, success is relative. Success is, you know, how do you define it? Who defines it? But I can explain. I was about 27 years old. I'm 34 now, so yeah, 7 years ago. And I was trying really hard. I had left university about 4 years ago. I had travelled a little bit. I had tried a few times to make money in currency, so the stock market, and I was failing miserably. I had failed over and over again. And I tried a few other things, and suddenly it sort of struck me. I thought, I've never actually achieved anything that I sort of put my mind to, because I'd never actually really put my mind to something and tried to achieve it. I know that sounds like I might be exaggerating or missing something out, but I really hadn't. I think the biggest thing I'd ever done in my life to that point was get a master's degree in computing and electronics. It took 5 years. You know, my parents helped support me through university. They really wanted me to get this degree, and I studied hard and I got it. And I think that's probably the closest thing I ever got to sort of achievement. I really had done nothing, you know. I was, I just had never really done much. I never did much. I still don't generally do much. I don't go on holidays. I don't have real activities that I pursue or real interests. You know, I kind of do business stuff. I think a lot. I read a lot, and that kind of thing. Anyway, 27 years old, and I hadn't really achieved anything. And I thought, you know, I need to achieve something. I need to pick something and stick to it until I achieve it. And I chose something that I wanted to do my entire life. I wanted to be able to ride my bicycle on its back wheel. Just, you know, back where I'm from, we call that a pedaler, where you get the front wheel up and you pedal, and you know, you keep the front wheel in the air. And you know, I never even came close to do it. I attempted it a couple of times, or a bunch of times probably when I was a kid, you know, for maybe like 10 minutes, and that was it. That was like the extent of the sort of effort and things I put into whatever I tried to do. I was back in Scotland at the time, and I thought, I'm going to go out every single day, whether it's windy or rainy or whatever, and there was a high chance of that because it was in Scotland, and that's what I did. So I went out, and I expected to be at least a month before I got anywhere. I thought, I'm going to go out, even if it's just for 5 minutes, if it's, you know, peeing with rain, or you know, I'll do an hour if it's a good day. I was going to see, I was quite open to it. And so I went out on the first day, and the first thing I started practicing doing was getting it up and using the back brake and just stopping myself and falling down, just to get comfortable, so that I wasn't scared of just flipping back. And so I spent a bit of time doing that. And then the next day, you know, I think I did that again, and then I started just going, right, let's see if I can do 1, 2, 3 pedals. So it would go up and down. And then the next day, you know, same again. And you know, some days, you know, I started getting a little bit of blisters on my hands. I had to wear gloves, and progress was slow. Like, I thought I would have made more progress than I did, but it was slow. It was just like the first week, I was just trying to get up to being able to do like 7 or 8 in a row, like, and then it would, you know, fall down again. So there was very little progress, but I kept going. Some days I just did like 5 or 10 minutes. It was just like so rainy, and you know, I just went out, did it. I didn't want to do it, but I did it, Other days it was like a nice afternoon, the sun was out, and it was just like, right, I'm just gonna keep going, do like an hour and something. And you know, a few days turned into a week turned into 2 weeks, and a funny thing happened. Around about 2 weeks in, I don't know how many hours I would have totaled at that point in terms of practicing. Not that many, just like a handful of hours perhaps, I really don't know. It seemed longer, but it was, you know, a little bit every day. 20 minutes, half an hour on average every day for a couple of weeks. And a weird thing happened. I expected to make progress, you know, until I could, you know, do 5, and then I'd be able to do 10 pedals and then fall down, and 15, then 20, or whatever, you know. But something happened. In the course of 5 or 10 minutes, it kind of just clicked. I kind of got it. It's as if my subconscious kind of got what I was trying to give it. It's as if for 2 weeks it resisted, and you know, I suddenly went, oh, okay, you want to do this, I'll let you do this automatically. And I wasn't suddenly just able to do it and go forever, but I was able to sort of put my right knee out, my left knee out, and it would support me up again, and you know, I could stop and I could kind of slowly break a bit and go down a bit and then hold myself up. I didn't have to fall all the way down. And sort of actually, the funny thing is sort of in that sort of 10-minute period where I went, oh, I can do this, something happened, interestingly enough. I went on like this crazy high, like my brain went, I can do this. And while I was in the middle of one of them, going along, my brain went, I can do this, I am a master. I don't even need to use the brake anymore, because I was always using the brake, always like feathering the brake, so it's just like too much. And so it became so automatic, and I got on this sort of high, and I felt so good in the middle of one of these things. I went, I don't even need to use the brake anymore. And I remember my hand just coming off the brake, going onto the handlebars, and I just remember, wow, and I remember it was on my back. But like, so I was using the brake so subconsciously that I got overconfident, assumed I didn't need to use it, and suddenly I was on my back. I didn't even feel myself fall. It's just like, oh, you know, hurt my elbow. But anyway, that was just a minor thing. I kept going, but the thing is I kept going the next day and the next day. I didn't stop, and by the end of the 3rd week, so it took me 2 weeks pretty much to learn it. By the end of the 3rd week, I was changing gears. I was getting the front wheel up in 1st or 2nd gear, keeping going. I was changing the gears like on my bike, again up to 3rd gear, 4th gear, and so I was going really fast along. It wasn't flawless, like it wasn't perfect, like I couldn't just go forever and ever, but I was getting really close. And it was like, that was the first thing, that felt like the first thing I'd ever achieved and succeeded at in my life. I went, I want to learn that, and I'm gonna practice every day until I can do that, because I chose it because it was so specific and tangible, and I knew it could be done because, you know, I've seen 1,000 people do them. You see it on TV all the time. And that was the first time I think I succeeded. That was it. There is a point to saying this, and I think that was a real foundation. That was a real kind of turning point in my life. I didn't really kind of realize it at the time. And you know, I've not succeeded in everything I've done, and I still give up on things, and I don't put the effort into things I should. But since that time of deciding to choose that specific thing and work towards it every day, I've used that exact feeling and that exact strategy and to do a lot of other things. You know, when I was working full-time in IT, trying to get out of it and build my own business, you know, making titanium products and things like that, I used the strategy of I had the end goal in mind to be full-time in that business, and I worked every day. I worked 3 hours in the morning from 7 until 10, because I started at 10. I worked flat out. I worked around till 6 at night, and then I worked from 6 at night until I went to bed. And doing that one thing every day and trusting that I will make it in the long run, that came from doing the pedalers, from learning to go on one wheel on my bike. I wanted to be able to talk in groups and talk to people, you know, sort of give speeches, that kind of thing, because, you know, I've probably mentioned it before, but I was so shy as a kid, that just horrible, just couldn't talk to anyone, and not even as a kid, well into my 20s, and it's taken a lot of work to get over that. And one thing I wanted to be able to do was talk in public, and so I joined Toastmasters. I've been going to Toastmasters for about 3 years, realistically only 2 years, because I've kind of slacked off the last year. But I think the main reason for that is that doing Toastmasters, and you know, they teach you how to speak publicly, it was so good. Like, they took me from, like, I still remember like my first ever speech, like a 30-second thing where I was just, you know, it was just like a blur of just shaking and nerves and just horribleness. And the second time I did it, the same, and the third time the same, but not so bad. And they really, it's such a great system. If you ever, as a side note, if you ever want to learn public speaking, I can recommend Toastmasters 100%. I can fairly happily speak in front of people now. I've never had a big test, like a massive audience, but certainly groups of people, I can speak, which is amazing. 3 years ago, I couldn't even speak to 2 people, like maybe if I knew them already, but unbelievable. So I was able to do that because I turned up every 2 weeks and, you know, and took part in it, and had the big goal in mind. I knew if I just kept showing up, I would eventually sort of get there. The same with these YouTube videos. This is, I don't know, this is nearly up to almost 250 days in a row. I think this will be 246 or something, this video here, days in a row. And you know, it's the same thing. I have this thing I'm aiming for, you know, not a specific number of subscribers, but just, you know, a following, and you know, sharing like I am now, but also sharing business, titanium, you know, all that sort of other stuff, designing, and I'm sort of seeing how it goes. But I have this vision of you know, a following and a relationship and a communication and a conversation going on sort of with you. And doing a video every day is something I took from learning to put my bike on one wheel. I know that I can sort of achieve things now, and I never had that up until I was, what, 27. I never thought I could do it, or I didn't even know it was a thing. I just suddenly went, I remember so vividly thinking, I've never achieved anything in my life. And I really felt that. Whether it was true, I don't know. You know, I got a university degree, but it felt that way. And if it felt that way, it is what it is. If it feels that way to me, then that's what it is. So if I felt like I didn't achieve anything, then I hadn't achieved anything. So the title of this video, as I said it was planned to be, was How I Became Successful, and then in brackets, and happy. Now the happiness thing, I think I need to share that with you as well. Not because I know how I became happy, but I do know that most of my life I was very unhappy, very discontent. I was a very jealous and envious person when I was younger. I always thought something else would make me happy. I remember, this is a story, I am going to sound like a spoiled brat, possibly. Actually no, I will. When I was in university, my parents, they really helped me through university. They paid for my accommodation and things like that, and they just wanted me to study. They didn't want me to like get sidetracked by, you know, maybe getting a job and not having enough time to study and things like that. They were great. They supported me, and you know, hugely appreciative of that. And I was aware at the time that how good it was, because I could see other students working. So I don't think I ever took it for granted. But I remember in university wanting this car. It was like a sports car, not a fancy new thing, but it was a nice car. And I remember wanting it and desiring it and thinking, you know, if I get that, I'll be happy, you know. But I'd also thought like everything else would make me happy. Like I remember sitting in a lecture theatre, and you know, there'd be a guy there, and he obviously went to the gym a lot, and he had these like big arms, and I used to think like, wow, if I had big arms, then I'd be happy. Or there'd be another guy who had this like cool long hair that was very thick. You know, my hair is very thin, but not as thin as it is now, but it was still thin. And I thought, if I had hair like that, then I would be happy. All my life would fit together and it wouldn't be all just a mess. And it's funny to think about it. And so this car was another example of that. If I have that car, I'll be happy. And I got the car, and the first thing I started looking at online was alloy wheels, these fancier alloy wheels. I had nice alloy wheels, and I'm usually thinking, if I got those wheels for this car, then I'll be happy. I mean, I don't need to tell you right now the flawed thinking in that. You know, I had barely gotten the car. This like dream car. It's pretty much a dream car for me. And I was like, it doesn't have those wheels yet, those fancier wheels, so I can't quite be happy. And that was the way my life kind of was pretty much until I was in my late 20s. If I could get this, if I could do this, if I could be like that, I would be happy. I was a very unhappy person. I was always living for the future. I was never living in the moment. I was always like, whatever I was doing, I was wishing I was doing something else. Now, truthfully, I don't know what's changed. I just know that a lot of changes have happened in the last couple of years in terms of the way I think. I don't know if there's anything specific. I could probably go into it in a video another time, but I do know that I just enjoy life. Like, even now when things go wrong, you know, when I screw something up in business, you know, and it costs either a lot of time or a lot of money, I go like, oh, that's interesting. And, you know, like, everything's okay. And yeah, there's probably a lot more I can say on it, but certainly, you know, I appreciate things more now. That's a big part of it. I take the time to appreciate what I've got. It's something you'll read if you read and listen to people talking about, you know, like how to enjoy life more, and you know, and especially older people who sort of regret things. They talk about regret and they talk about their life and they talk about how they perhaps wanted to pay attention to more things and what was important. Taking what you have, appreciating what you have. I think that's a big part of it. I appreciate what I've got and where I am, and I don't have, what's the word? Entitlement. I don't think, you know, like, I put in hard work, I should have $1 million in my bank account right now. Like, financially right now, I am probably at the lowest I've ever been. Like, I'm in debt. Like, I don't have no money and no cash flow. There's kind of cash flow in and out, and business is good, but there's money coming in and then there's money going out. But I'm the lowest I've ever been. Business is also, you know, kind of powering on as well. But I'm also the happiest I've ever been in my life. But happiness probably isn't a good word. More content. I don't have this like feeling that I'm just letting life slip me by and you know, I'm waiting for retirement or anything like that. You know, I enjoy every day. I still try to work hard, and I am reflecting a lot, as you can tell in this video and the few sort of recent videos as well. 2016 has been a massive reflection period in my life. The other thing I do is that I take time to celebrate if I can. Like, I celebrate the end of the week. I work for myself, and so let's say I'm on the computer sort of through the day and at night, every night of the week. On Friday afternoon or evening, I'll try and put some music on and, you know, might go online or read or do something that sort of celebrates the end of the week. Let's sort of delineate it. And I think that's really important. There's, you know, like, I used to just power through and bang, bang, bang and not take time to savor or enjoy or really sort of think about what I have. And so taking the time to celebrate, both in a micro scale, like every week, or, you know, if you have when I have a successful Kickstarter project, or, you know, however successful it is, you know, I launch a new product, if it sells, you know, I think it's important to take the time to go, okay, like, I did that, it did well, that's good, appreciate it. And I think Christmas is a good thing. A lot of people, I don't know, they seem to sort of mouth that it's not a good thing. They don't want it. It's not, like, it's so much of a hassle. And I might have believed that when I was younger and maybe a little bit more skeptical. But no, like, it's important, you know, perhaps not Christmas specifically, but celebrating. Now, do you remember those two conversations I mentioned right at the beginning of this video? The two conversations I overheard in two separate stores. The first conversation, the shop assistant said, "Are you all ready for Christmas?" And the person said, "Can't wait till Monday." And the shop assistant said, "Oh, what's happening on Monday?" And the guy said, "It will all be over." And that just hit me, you know. That's like, why? You know, why have such a pessimistic outlook to life? You know, I mean, obviously I don't know his situation or anything like that, but that's everything I know in life. That is a wrong approach. I will say that that is just wrong. Whether you lead a pessimistic life, whether you don't believe in Christmas, or whether whatever, that's wrong. That is a road to unhappiness, for sure. The second conversation, somewhat similar. The shop assistant said, "Are you looking forward to Christmas Day?" And the guy said, "Not really, it's just another day like any other." Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. It's not another day like any other. It really isn't. It's a great excuse to not do work. It's a great excuse to not open and check your emails. It's a great excuse just to do nothing, to spend time. Like, I don't think there's any more I can add to those. Those two conversations summed up exactly what Christmas is not about. I think I will call it a day at that. I have a quote for you. It's not related to Christmas. It's related to the achieving thing that I talked about earlier, you know, the story where I learned to go on my back wheel. So it's related to that. Now, I don't know who said the quote. I tried to look online and search it, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if the quote is kind of butchered from something else, I'm not sure. So I will just say it's unattributed. But the quote is, "Don't rush, don't rest."